Hi, this is Ben from berscakcustomguitars, and today we're going to be checking out my Squier Tom DeLonge signature Strat that I've had for actually exactly 20 years. Now, a little background on this guitar. I've actually had this for the last 20 years, like I just mentioned. This was my first guitar. I got it when I was 15. I got it for my 15th birthday. I got it brand new from Sam Ash for a whopping, I believe, like $179, which is pretty awesome, not only for 2002 standards, but also even for today's standards, because these things are worth a lot more nowadays. So yeah, let's go over some of the specifications and kind of go over some of the things that I've changed, some of the things that I've left the same, and just kind of an overall overview of this guitar. So let's go over some specs on this guitar. It has an older body, not sure how many pieces because of the paint, and they didn't specify on the original spec sheet from Squier back in 2002, but I'm assuming it's probably at least a 3 or 4 piece body, just because that is what generally it makes the Squier line a little more affordable. It's not going to be a 1 or 2 piece body in most situations, but it's a string through body hardtail. Coming in closer here, we have the single Duncan designed detonator pickup, which is similar to the Invader, but it is a little different. We'll get into that a little bit later, but it's definitely seen some mileage, as I'm sure you all can see. The pickguard is not original. That is one of the few things I actually replaced. It originally came with a 1-ply white pickguard that was not pearloid. Coming up the neck here, we have a rosewood fretboard with 21 medium jumbo frets, and it's a 9.5-inch radius. That is the stock nut, which I believe is just a regular plastic nut. And then moving up onto the headstock, we have the string trees and tuners. Those are both aftermarket. The roller tuner I added myself, along with the hip shot locking tuners. And moving along to the back of the body, you can see the string through body ferrules. And moving up, we have the neck plate with Tom's name on it. And then here, which this is probably the biggest surprise with this guitar, it has a maple neck, but it's a 1-piece neck, which is very rare for Squier guitars. Most you're going to have a scarf joint in this area. They usually use 3 pieces of wood, so you'll have 1 piece for the headstock, another piece for the body of the neck, and then usually there's another piece down here by the heel. But this is, as you can see, this is all 1 piece. There are no joints. We even have some flame figuring in this. I don't know if it's really showing up here on the camera, but there is some flame figuring on this neck. So for this demo, I'll be recording the guitar straight into my Line 6 Pod Go and into my MacBook Pro using GarageBand, USB Direct. There's no post-processing, none of that stuff. You're just hearing the Line 6 Pod Go direct right into the computer. The guitar has Ernie Ball skinny top, heavy bottom strings, 10 to 52s. And as far as amp models, for the clean tone, I'll be using a Vox amp model, and of course for the distorted tone, I'll be using a Mesa Boogie dual rectifier amp model going into a York Audio Mesa 2x12 using an SM57. what makes this guitar special for me, aside from the fact that it was my first guitar, is the fact that it's never needed any setup. This guitar came from the factory exactly how it is today as far as intonation, action, all that stuff. The intonation was perfect from the factory. Same with the action, it's just super low and super smooth to play. Same thing with the nut. The nut is just a factory plastic nut. It was just cut really well, and yeah, I've never had any issues with it. I never adjusted it at all. Even the truss rod, everything is exactly the way it was 20 years ago. Now, I don't know if that's just my experience, if I just got a good one. Whoever built this guitar in the factory maybe just knew what they were doing or really cared about what they were doing. I've never played any of the other Squier Tom DeLonge models, so I mean, your mileage may vary. Especially if you're picking up one used. Chances are it's probably been, at least set up over the years. But I think I just probably got really lucky. But also one of the things that kind of distinguishes this guitar from the Fender version, the neck's a little different. The Fender one has the Made in Mexico neck with the skunk stripe on the back. It's a little bit of a different profile. This one is really thin and fast. To my feel, the Fender version's a little chunkier. I did play them back in the day, from what I remember anyway. This one always felt like it had a thinner neck on it, and also the pickup is a little different. This has the Duncan design detonator as opposed to the actual Duncan Invader. They're similar. Some people say that they sound a little different. They are a little different, but I think it's pretty close. It never bothered me. Definitely gets the point across. But everything else on this guitar is original except for the pickguard, the roller string tree, and the hip shot tuners, which I use that universal mounting plate that they have, so there's no holes. I have the original tuners if I ever want to put them back in. But all the electronics, the pot, everything, the output jack, that's all original. So it's all lasted 20 years, and this guitar has seen some mileage. This is my main guitar for a very long time. I was in a band in high school, and this guitar was my primary guitar for most of that time, so it has a few dings and dents and stuff on it, but I think it gives it a little bit of character. Yeah, so I just absolutely love this guitar. For me, it just feels like home. This is a guitar I learned how to play guitar on, so it's always a little special to me. It has like a little bit of mojo, and I don't know, every time I pick up this guitar, it just kind of brings me back, and yeah, it's hard to put into words. I'm sure, if you guys still have your first guitars, maybe you have a similar feeling to that, but this one is definitely the most sentimental. I have the most attachment to this guitar, and yeah, it just feels right, if that makes sense. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. And there you have it. That's my 20-year review of the Squier Tom DeLonge Stratocaster. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. That way you'll be notified every time we post new content. And be sure to follow us over on Instagram at berscakcustomguitars. All links are in the description below. Thanks for watching.